creative director for Universal Studios Hollywood and also creative director for our brand new permanent daytime attraction, The Walking Dead. Today what we're doing is we're having Walker Boot Camp. And you guys are going to be a fly on the wall for this. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be training our cast, that's recently been cast in our attraction, the finer art of being a walker on The Walking Dead. To do that, I'd like to welcome out some of our cast. Can we have the cast come out and join me, please? There's one thing I always say whenever dealing with walkers. Whenever I talk to anybody about being a walker, I always say, you have to make your performance unique. Because if you tell somebody to act like a walker, the first thing they do is they drop one arm, and they drag one leg, and they look like, you know, Boris Karloff in our old mummy movies of the 1930s. And I always say you have to find the inner walker within yourself. For the show, they actually have a walker school that they host in Atlanta, and every year they train people to be walkers. So we thought it would be really cool if to train our cast in how to be a walker for The Walking Dead, we went right to the source, and we got the executive producer, director, sometimes cast member, and head of all makeup for The Walking Dead, Mr. Greg Nicotero. Greg.
Awesome. All right. So a couple quick things. We do zombie school. This is zombie boot camp, but in Georgia, every season I am the dean, I am the teacher, I grade all the papers, I give detention. Everything involved with zombie school in Georgia has been something that we started since season 1. We used to start with showing film clips of classic horror movies, zombie movies, of course. But as the show has caught on and people sort of know what we're doing, now it's really about sort of giving our performers an opportunity to audition their zombie walk. Now, one of the things that I learned from the beginning was if you demonstrate a zombie walk for 50 people, most likely untrained professionals, not you guys, but untrained professionals will all do the same thing. So what's been important is that we have different movements. So we would go through a series of exercises. We would have them chase our stunt coordinator into a hallway and try to rip the door down, and it was always kind of fun, and people really enjoyed it. But in this instance, of course, it's really about me sort of getting a chance to see how you guys move, avoiding what we like to refer to on set as, like, if we gave you a nickname, that would be bad. Like if we said, oh, there's the get out of my yard angry zombie because he's stomping through, that's bad. If you're gliding your feet, then that's the ice skating zombie. Again, you don't want a nickname. So that's one of the things that we always kind of joke about. But for purposes of this permanent attraction, you guys are going to be there every day. Authenticity is tremendously important to me in terms of how the walkers look and more specifically how they move. So one of the things that we did as far back as season 1 was we did camera tests, and we wanted to test what the makeups looked like. It was really the beginning of how to determine what film stock we would use, whether it would be digital or 16mm or 35. So we did a makeup on one of the guys that works at K&B named Joe Giles. And I figured, what a better way to start zombie boot camp than to bring out who I would affectionately refer to as Patient Zero, who's basically the first zombie that we ever tested in The Walking Dead. So let's bring out Joe, who will now, from all intents and purposes, be not known as Joe anymore. But one of the things about Joe's performance was Frank Darabont loved how he moved so much that we put him in the first episode. He's the zombie that's outside the tank that Rick Grimes sees, and he's been a walker in countless numbers of episodes. So we wanted to bring Joe in just so that you could get a little bit of an opportunity to see how Joe moves. I want you guys to each bring your own personality to the character, but there's a really unique body language that Joe brought to his performance that we have adopted into the show. And of course, we did a little bit of makeup on him in the morning just to make him, just to get everybody into the spirit of things. So, all right, so we're going to have you come over here. I'm going to have you guys slide over. Don't bite anybody. No, don't bite me either. You go that way. Walk past, see all these cameras. All right, so guys, what's really fun about, for me, is seeing the body posture. I think body posture is one of the first things in terms of raising and lowering your shoulder, just really adding to this character. We don't want every walker to appear to look the same, so breaking it up a little bit is always good. So I think what we should do is let's split you guys, for sake of our performance today. Let's split you guys in half, and have half of you guys go up to the back for a second, and we'll do a little exercise. So half of you guys go back there, and then the other half stay over here with me and back up here. And then when I say action, just move forward towards where the line of press is. Because what I'll do is I'll sort of walk through and watch how everybody performs. Stagger the line a little bit as well. Because one of the things that was funny is that we did season 2 where we opened with a big scene on the freeway, and zombies were moving in and out of cars. And I remember in our zombie boot camp, I said, just utilize the space. Don't always assume that everything with walkers is linear. And I had one guy who literally turned and went out the soundstage and disappeared for 10 minutes. And it was the funniest thing, because he did what I told him to do. I said, just be free, have a little bit of fun with it, and don't necessarily feel that you need to walk a straight linear line. So with all of this said, since we have Joe sort of keeping visual on the outside, let's do a little exercise. You can walk forward and keep going until I say cut, because I might come in and modify your look or whisper something in terms of just a slight tweak. But it's always really, really helpful for me, of course, to number one, see how you guys are as performers, but also how you take direction. When we're shooting a show, just like when you guys are here, if there needs to be an adjustment in your performance, if you're in a scene where you're fighting Daryl Dixon or you're fighting Rick Grimes, and I need to give you a little note, that's always really, really important to see how you guys take direction. So aside from what we're doing in terms of the movement, there's a lot of other things that play into it. So let's see how you guys do. Ready, and action. All right, this is a great start. Keep going. Don't stop. Take your movements down about 30%. Just a little less movement. So sometimes if you find yourself holding your arms in the same position, feel free to switch it up a little bit. Like if you're walking around and your elbows are locked against your body, just loosen that up a little. And you can also, sometimes if you want, throw your shoulders back so that you're not always leaning forward. I think one of the things you have to think about too is zombies aren't necessarily looking for butterflies floating in the air above them. And like Young Frankenstein, keep your look a little more focused. All right, so just stay in character, just come over this direction. And Joe, stay a little closer up front. All right, so what I want to do is, we're going to do something else where you come over here and you pretend that this lovely young lady right here, somebody's opened a door, she's opened a door and all of a sudden you realize there's food there. So there's your meal, so action, come over there. right, and cut. Good, guys, great. That was excellent. So you guys can go relax for a second. It's kind of weird, right? It's always sort of fun, and then when you have all these people sort of charging you, it gets a little strange. So a couple of, you guys, come on forward, you guys. Now, a couple things that, and this is, you guys are all great, by the way. Probably the best class I've seen. Thank you for that. Very, very good. When we're on the show, a lot of times we have performers that have experience like these guys do, clearly. But sometimes when you're dealing with extras, it's probably somebody that works at Subway and just wanted to be a zombie really, really badly, so they don't really understand how much physicality there is and how important it is to bring a character to life. So one thing that I would, a note that I would give to you guys after watching those guys was a lot of jerky head movement, which I would probably diminish a little bit. Now again, just thinking out loud about the fact that we're talking about a live attraction and not a TV show, you guys you'll have to do this a lot longer than the people on the show, because in the show, you say action, you say cut, and they're done, and they go off and chill out for a while, but you guys will stay in character for a much longer time. So the thing that I would give the note to this group, based on the previous group, was maybe not, the head's not searching around quite so much. I always like the idea of the analogy that it's like a marionette. That you're not necessarily in control. And I also use the little story that it's like if you go to a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning, you see people walking out of the bar. They think they're walking a straight line because their brain is like, walk a straight line, but their body's not really listening. So there's always that little sort of listening where the guy's like, I'm fine, I can make it to my car, no problem. Hopefully not. But that they're always kind of listening. There's a disconnect between the brain and the body. So with those two little pieces of advice, do you guys spread out a little bit more as well? So that we're not in such a straight line. Come on forward. All right, so we'll do the same thing. I'll say action, you guys move around a little bit. I'll probably find another unsuspecting person in the press line that I know that I'll have the zombies attack. So let's take a look at that. All right, and action. So now what this walker's doing, which I like, is that the one arm was up and sort of felt like that arm was broken, and then he rotated and switched it so that shoulder dropped down. I think that's great. That's a good little. Now again, I think being aware of not keeping your arms locked in any one position, and there was a couple that were a little quicker. It's interesting if you start and stop. A lot of times it starts feeling rhythmic. So trying to avoid it feeling rhythmic. He's good because he's moving a little faster. We always talk about the idea that when walkers are getting close to you, it's like a lion hunting prey, and they might get a little more animated as they go. All right, so that's how our walkers are going to walk back. Just sort of stay in character, move back that way. All right, so then so we're going to pretend that this poor man has now opened the door, and he's about to be devoured by zombies. So lunch is right there. Let me get out of the way before you guys tear to pieces. And action. You look, you're backing up. And cut. Good, great job, guys. Excellent.